Okay, Chris, where are we today?
So today we are at Oak Alley Plantation, which is right along the Mississippi River, about it's halfway between Baton Rouge and New Orleans, about roughly.
And it is a famous one. I mean, it kind of has iconic pictures because it's Oak Alley. These are the oaks that line Oak Alley. They are Virginia live oaks. They are 300 years old. They were actually planted 100 years prior to them building the plantation home that you see at the end.
Yeah, there's 28 of them. It's about a quarter mile long from from what's now the levee protecting the house from the Mississippi River. It's a quarter mile up to the house, and it's lined with these live oaks, and it's
Hey, what you
beautiful.
got in your hand there?
Oh, this just happens to be a mint julep that we got after our house tour,
Huh.
and it's delicious.
Now let me show you. You stay put. I'm gonna show everybody. If you look in the other direction, because we're about midway through the walk, so you see the rest of the live oaks. You can see the levee in the background. But at the time that the plantation was being used in the 1800s, the levee was much smaller.
Actually, the levee wasn't even there. You could see the Mississippi River flowing by if you were up at the house and see steamboats going by, which probably was amazing.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's a closer look at the plantation home, and it was built in the 1830s, and it was built by a Creole, which just means he was French, but he was born in America, so hence the term Creole. But he built it for his wife, I think as a wedding present, wasn't it?
Yeah, so she could. They were in New Orleans. She wanted to move and live outside of the city, so he
Yeah.
built
So he
this
built
house
this,
for her.
and
Yeah.
it was a sugarcane plantation, which is different from a cotton plantation, obviously. But in the southern parts of Louisiana, sugarcane was really what was the crop.
Did a lot better than the cotton, yeah.
Yeah, because it was just too
south, it
wet,
was
too
wet and
hot.
too humid.
It's almost like a subtropical climate here, so.
They were saying all the cotton would rot before they could actually do what they needed to do with it.
Yeah, and you can see the balcony that you see on the house there actually goes the entire way around the house.
360 degrees.
Yeah, so
It's beautiful. Yeah.
it's pretty amazing. So we're going to check out more of the grounds, and we'll share some video from there. Side and back view of the home. Like I said, it was built for a Creole planter. He built it for his wife, and then but he only lived here for 9 years before dying of consumption, which you hear consumption a lot if you read any old texts or those kind of things, and that's just TB, it's tuberculosis. So he was only here for 9 years, and it's interesting because so many places that we've visited like this where people have built mansions, including the Biltmore, we were just talking about that, and they didn't get to enjoy it that long, you know. But his wife stayed on here. She had a really hard go of it after his passing, though, and eventually they ended up losing it they had to have a public auction. So they lost their land, their home, everything. She had 6 children. I believe 3 of them died very young.
Yeah.
So she had a rough go of it. You want to talk about the construction of it?
Yeah, it was. It's made entirely of bricks, and most of the materials that were used were actually all found on the property. So they formed all the bricks here, and even the columns that you see. Believe it or not, it's all brick construction. It was all slave labor, and it took about 2.5 years to build the whole house. You can see there the bell just past the bushes, and they use that to basically keep schedule and run the entire plantation. That can be heard all around the entire plantation. So that's how they kept schedule.
Okay, Oak Alley, what you see here are some of the slave quarters. These are not the original slave quarters. These are reconstructed exhibits. So this particular one is an example of a field slave's quarters. So we have a row of quarters here that you can go through, and they give explanations on some of the duties that they did, not only just the field slaves, but also the house slaves as well, and some of the sick nurses. They had some slaves that are actually tasked with being nurses and taking care of people that were the slaves that were ill. So they did have that. They also had a doctor that came over from a neighboring plantation, and they paid an annual fee to keep him on call, as well as additional fees for certain services that he provided. The mortality rate was 50% for slaves. It was also 50% for the owners as well. So I'm sure the conditions here, you had yellow fever, you had tuberculosis, all these things were just, you get one mosquito bite and that could be that could be it for you. So they were definitely very, very hard times all around. So definitely you would not, to live a slave life in these kind of areas would have been very, very difficult. So that's a view of the slave quarters, and we hope you enjoyed this quick tour of Oak Alley Plantation.